about She'ela, Chalas Chutz La'aretz, Hilchos per Oichel. So we're going to spend some time on that. After that, we have a few other simanim to finish up, and we'll try maybe even chappen on Chazar before the end of the month. Okay. So just to be mashlam, this very, very soidistic Indian of Shlichus and Zechiyah of the Frashas Challah and Hashumus Meisers. So it's Azoi. Chumas Hadeshin is brought in Shulchan Aruch. Shulchan Aruch in Shin Chav Chesed Gimel tells us that if you want to be mafresh Chumas Meiser Challah al Yidei Shliach, so you have to make a Shliach. And then Meila in mafresh Challah b'lo Rishos b'ala Isa, you can't go do a b'li Rishos, it doesn't work. So the Ramah brings from the Chumas Hadeshin the famous halacha that we all saw many times, that if it's a matziv, the Mashar sees that there's a problem with the Isa, it's going to be miskalkel, it's nischametz, and it's gonna be spoiled. So then, even though she doesn't have the rishos, she can go be mafresh Challah. And the Chumas Hadeshin, we'll go through a little bit of the rise, and Yonim Chumas Hadeshin, Maisa, or Shtein Chumas Hadeshin, the Hezber, is Zechiyah mitam Shlichus. Kachem first Chumas Hadeshin, Sim Kuf Hezber. So, he becomes a Shliach, Ayidei Zechiyah. Then the Chumas Hadeshin is Mamshich, and this is already a bit of a question, what exactly Chumas Hadeshin means. That's a question with the Bach, and the Taz, and Shach. What the Pashas of Chumas Hadeshin is, and even Ba'ofen, that it's not a kilkel of Isa. The Isa is fine. But Afal Pikein, this is a Masharses, the servant in the house. That's always her job. All the time, that's her job. So Memela, she could be mafresh also that Rishus, and that also works. It sounds like some kind of Zechiyah mitam Shlichus, but that's already clear enough Zechiyah to us that since that's her kavud, the good job, she can continue doing her job. And that also is Nichlal in the Divrei HaChumas Hadeshin. So Kiv Eger on the spot tells us, Ayin K'tois HaChoshen. That's all he writes. And we do on the first one already, that the K'tois HaChoshen in Reish Men Gimel, Sefkat and Ches, and mistakes is Yud Ches here, Sefkat and Ches, the K'tois is Choylik. And the K'tois is Choylik, al pi the Rashba and the Tosfos, and the K'tois says Louis the Mistafina, he's scared to be Choylik, but he thinks you have to be Machmir, and you cannot be Saimach on this heter of a Mesharsis, being Mafresh Challah, B'li Rishus Mefureshes, meaning B'li Minu Shlichus, from the Baal Ho'isa. Fine, so that's the, let's call it famous Machlokes, Chumas Hadeshin and the Ramah, Umas the K'tois, who says you can't rely on this Ramah, Halacha L'maisa. So, as we already started speaking previously, and we've been speaking about a lot, is that so where this is Nageya is very often in the bakeries and different industrial settings, where it's impossible to make a minu shlichus every single time a new isa is made. So maybe they have to be man a shliach one time. The emphasis is another issue which we're not going to get into today. It's of shliach shliach. The guf hakashus, the kashus, the bedats, the kashus organization is mamana their shliach, and their shliach is in mafresh challah for years, so for every day, every week, every whatever it is. So we spoke last time a little about the oifen hafrasha and the pikpukim on that. But what about the etzem minu shlichus? Could be mana shliach. So what's the problem? So if he's made a shliach for the isa that the machine has already spit out this big huge thing, so fine, he's made a shliach and it's fine. The problem is obviously the forthcoming isas that are going to happen later in the day, and certainly the next day and the next day and the next day. So that's a problem of being a man a shliach for a davar shaloi bal olam. The mina shlichus is not a minui, and the meila it's not a kosher afrasha. So obviously if you say like the Chumas Hadeshin, so it's fine. Because we could assume that if I was mani your shliach, even though the mina shlichus doesn't work, well the said this is chiyah because I was magal das and I want you to be mafish for me. That would be l'chayr take care of the eitzah. It's not loy bal olam. As soon as it's bal olam, it'll be his chiyah when it's bal olam. That's the point. L'chayr, the problem of mina shlichus assumes that I need a mina shlichus bichal right now. L'chayr the feature of Hadeshin, you don't need that. You don't need it to be bichal right now. Okay, we'll get back to that point. So where does this all really begin? Before the Chumas Hadeshin, it really begins with Tosfos and Nazir Daf Yud Beis. And that's also passing over here in Shulchan Aruch Gimel. Tosfos was talking about a slightly different problem, and that is that the Maisim B'chol Yom, Tosfos says, it was a common custom that an Isha would bring Kemach to her friend or to maybe her worker, it sounds like her friend, and say, could you please make me Chalas today? And by the way, once you have the Lishas done, to take off Challah. So Tosfos is bothered that how could you be Man Shliach? So Tosfos is masbir that since it's biyada to be mafresh right now, since it's biyad the mishaleach to be mafresh right now, so you could also be man shliach. Tosfos takes care of the problem of a davar shaloi bal olam. That's also passed over here in Shulchan Aruch. So how does Tosfos take care of that problem? Tosfos says it's biyada to bring another isa to be mafresh on the kemach. The emphasis is the goin and shin chavzayin, like we saw, and the Prisha point out that really it's biyada lahafresh even kemach and kemach. Halacha l'mais you can be mafresh kemach and kemach. So since it's biyad the mishaleach to be mafresh, you can give over the kemach to a shliach and be man, and it's challah shlichus. That Tosfos is very clear. You're saying you can make a shliach on a big bag of kemach to be mafresh challah when the shliach will make the lisha. Fine. So that's Divrei Tosis, and that's brought here also in Shulchan Aruch Miyum Nasun Rishus La'ach L'Hafish Afilu Ba'odei Kemach Moyel, and that's Al Pi Tosis in Nazir and Daf Yud Beis. So that already will help us somewhat for this shliach, for this mashgiach in the bakery, but won't help us fully. Why not? Because the shliach in the bakery, he's not only not being given isa, he's also not being given kemach. L'chayr, the Yisayid Rabbeinu Tam is, see this kemach over here? It looks like it's davar shalom ha'olam. It's not, because it's biyadi to be mafresh from this kemach right now. How? Either to be mafresh kemach al kemach with a tanai, or to bring another isa and be mafresh from that isa on this kemach. But l'maisa, the kemach I'm giving you now is not a davar shalom ha'olam. The isa is here, kaviyachol, because it doesn't have a chisaron of a davar shalom ha'olam. But this mashgiach is much worse. Mashgiach, you're hiring him for the kemach that the company doesn't own, for kemach that potentially doesn't even exist yet. It hasn't even been ground up. The kemach has the tvua hasn't even been ground. There's no there's nothing here. It's totally davar shalom ha'olam. And even if there's kemach in the shuk, so kipshuta in Shulchan Aruch in Choshen Mishpat in Reish Tes, so it's mavur over there that if it's not b'shuscha, even though it's b'shus someone else, it's in the velt, but it's not in your shus, it's considered davar shalom ha'olam. So l'chayra, Tosis will get us past one shlav, that even though it's not Isa, the mashgiach, if there's a big warehouse of kemach in this factory, so he could work, the Mina Shlichus will work for all that kemach, but not for more than that. Not for the kemach that doesn't exist yet in the world, or even if it does exist, but it's not yet owned by the factory. And for that, l'chayr would have to start coming on to the Trumas Hadeshin, that there's some kind of zechiyah. Now, l'maisa, this might not be 100% accurate, and Shulchan Aruch, after the Mechaber brings the din of Rabbeinu Tam, that you can be mafresh, that you could be mamana a shliach for kemach, Shulchan Aruch is moisif, another din from Sefer HaTruma that the Beis Yosef brings. The ha'oreach yomer lebala sabayis, talking about some kind of, sounds like he's staying in a certain kind of like hotel, an inn for an extended period of time, or someone's house for an extended period of time. He's l'oreach kavudik ha'oreach. He's allowed to say to the Baal Sabayis, the Baal Bas, who takes care of the food, as long as I'm going to be here, 1 month, 6 months, a year, as long as I'm going to be here, I'm telling you right now, all the challah I want you to be mafresh for me. I guess he's paying for the kemach, or he's buying the kemach, because he's not around, he's staying in this inn or whatever it is, and for the meshach of the whole year, he wants to be mafresh challah. He doesn't want every single time he has to go and be mamana shliach. He just tells him from here on, it works forever. So now, this is a big jump past Rabbeinu Tam. Right before the Trumas Hadeshin, before bringing the Ramah and the Trumas Hadeshin into the mix, let's just talk about Tosis. Tosis tells us you can give kemach. Kemach is not a chesaron davar shalom ha'olam. So when the mashgiach in the factory has a big silo of kemach, of flour, fine. But the new kemach coming after that, we're pointing out that's mamish davar shalom ha'olam, kemavur b'shulchan aruch choshen mishpat. So the question is how to understand this halach. Because this halach seems to say, yes, I can be man her shliach even for kemach that doesn't exist yet. And that's what's mavur l'chayra in the Beis Yosef and in the Mordechai, where another place where this din is quoted. So the achrein were bothered. The Mikdash Ma'at, the Gilul Hektish, are ma'ayir on this halacha. How does this work exactly? So the Aruch HaShulchan says a chiddush. He says, l'maisa, what are we talking about? A Baal Basta, she has to what does she have to do already to get the kemach? She has to go down the block to the shuk and pick up a bag of kemach. That's a davar. It's matzoi talmid. It's always available. It's always accessible. That's called a davar shabala olim. It's not called a davar shalei ba'olim. It's machadish. So maybe hu hadin hacha by the factories. Is it really available? It depends. I don't know. They're buying obviously large amounts. Could we apply the Aruch HaShulchan? Perhaps. L'maisa the Aruch HaShulchan is not davar pashut. The Aruch HaShulchan is machadish this idea that maybe since it's available, so it's not davar shel olam. L'maisa the Gedulei Hektish Mikdash. You see, we're not convinced about this halacha. They're mefakfik. They're not sure how this should really work or if it should really work. L'maisa it's a davar shel olam mamish, and Rabbeinu Tam can't help you for that.
As much as you're going to build a shulchan, the factory never has a problem getting the kemach.
L'chayr, unless sometimes there's a shortage, unless sometimes they have to make an order and they have to wait for it. It's not the Aruch HaShulchan sounds like it's immediately available. So it's not in your house. You go down the block, you pick up a bag, you have like a cheshbon by the makola type of thing. So maybe but the Aruch HaShulchan is not a davar pashut, meaning to be samech on the Aruch HaShulchan connecting what l'chayr is mefurish in dinei davar shel olam, but something's not your shus considered davar shel olam. L'chayr is going to leave us with somewhat of a problem now. So we just went back to the beginning. Rabbeinu Tam, Tosfos, who says that there's no problem on kemach. Then we have Rishonim, the Beis Yosef brings Sefer HaTruma, it's Mordechai, that you could be mamana this balabasta to get kemach, to be mafresh, even though there's no kemach. That would seem to extend. But that din is a din that's not a davar bar. The Aruch HaShulchan is bothered, the Gedulei Hektish is bothered, we're going to get back to the Shita Sagra, the Kura seems to have different malach in this halacha. So to use this machaber to take care of our shliach in the bakery, l'chayr is not a glata thing. So we're still looking for an eitzah. So here's the choyre where we'll be machnis the Trumas Hadeshin. Here's where the Trumas Hadeshin will be very helpful for us, because the Trumas Hadeshin l'choyre will say like this: there's no mina shlichus. I don't need taisvus nazir. Davar shaloi ba'olam, or the kambach doesn't exist. The tefua didn't even grow yet. You reminded the guy one time a shliach for the next 15 years. It wasn't even planted yet. The tefua for this kambach, and afal pikin it works. Why? Because there's no mina shlichus. As soon as the isa comes in front of him, he's the shliach. He's the guy who's trying to give this guy a hechsher. It's obviously ein lechaz chus gadol mizu zachan la'adam shaloi b'fanov, and you can mafresh trumas ha'maisers. You can mafresh challah from the isa. Now, that would take as a problem. So then yesh ladun. That doesn't work. And then Mela, if we're saying that a mashkiach is there and he's being mismana a shliach for something that doesn't exist b'chal, and that doesn't include the Rabbeinu Tam, and the heter of this, the seifa of the mechaber, the seifa truma is not a davar barer, and you don't accept the trumas hadeshin lahalacha, then we're in trouble. And we have a problem with afrashas challah that's taking place, I think, in every single industrial challah. I'm not sure every single, but in many industrial challah settings, bread settings, when they're making two types of breads, you're going to have this trouble.
Yeah. Is there a revach in if the mashkiach is paid every month? It's like being mechadish l'shlichus.
We'll get back to this idea of yad pel yad balabayis, but pshutai not. Pshutai the fact that he gets salary now. See, there is such an idea of yad pel yad. So, azoi. So the emes is that the Chazon Ish already says that the emes Chazon Ish, first of all, paskins like we'll see it as many poskim and gedolim paskin like Trumas Hadeshin. The Chazon Ish is tamei on the ketzois. The ketzois made up. We'll get back into the times of kuf tzadik tes. Sifkan aleph and gimel. So the Chazon Ish paskins like Trumas Hadeshin and the ketzois. So one of the things that the Chazon Ish says is that this Rabbeinu Tam, this het Rabbeinu Tam in Tosfos and Nazir Beis. So everyone already saw that Tosfos and Nazir. So it's not clear how to read the end of that Tosfos. And the way the Chazon Ish understands the end of that Tosfos is that the emes like this: that the question was asked is a minhag ha'olam, and Rabbeinu Tam comes along and says it's fine, it's not a davar shel ha'olam. And the way the Chazon Ish understands Tosfos, which is not like the goyin at the beginning of Shin Chav Zayin, the way the Chazon Ish understands, Tosfos is arguing on Rabbeinu Tam. And Tosfos says it's not maspik your teretz. It doesn't help, and the raya from Yevamos that Tosfos brings at the end of the Tosfos is hiniach b'kushya on Rabbeinu Tam. There's machlokes between Rabbeinu Tam and Tosfos is miniach b'kushya. So the Chazon Ish says that Rabbeinu Tam said a very gvaldige eitzah, but it doesn't hold up. Tosfos asks. So says the Chazon Ish. So taka, there's a minig. There's a Rabbeinu Tam that says that there's a minig olam ma'asim chol yom. So there's no question that the ma'asim chol yom was a proper minig. That's what everyone was doing. Says the Chazon Ish, fakir. It's taka based on the Trumas Hadeshin. That's how the Chazon Ish explains the halacha in Shulchan Aruch. And Shulchan Aruch is halacha says Rabbeinu Tam. If you read the Rabbeinu Tam, you would have thought that's what the Goyin thought in the beginning of Shin Chav Zayin. That's based on this shtickle Torah about davar shel ha'olam. Says the Chazon Ish, no. Tosfos slugs up the Rabbeinu Tam, and the way this really works is with the Trumas Hadeshin because of Zechiyah, and then Shalom Yisrael, and that would also answer the hemshech of the Mechaber. Because then the Mechaber jumps even farther than Rabbeinu Tam and says you can even be Mana Shliach, you can tell this Baal Basta for the whole year to be Mana to take Challah for you. There's no Kamach. That's Mamash Davar Shel Olam. Lafi the Chazon Ish, Alts is good. It's all really based on the Trumas Hadeshin. It's all Rabbeinu Tam Lav Mi Taimei, and everything works with Zechiyah and Shuv. If you don't hold if you're Choshesh for the Ketzos, that would cause us problems. Now this is obviously a doichak. Because obviously the Pashtus, the Tur, Beis Yosef, Shulchan Aruch, when they quote Rabbeinu Tam, it's not mashma that be'etzin Tosfos is chaylik on Rabbeinu Tam, and we don't really rely on the heter of Rabbeinu Tam, and it's all really based on the Trumas Hadeshin. After all, the Mechaber doesn't bring the Trumas Hadeshin. It's really the Ramah. So to say that the Mechaber, we have to learn that Mechaber is based on the emes, the Trumas Hadeshin Zechiyah, l'chayra k'tzas doichak yesh b'zeh.
He brings them in the Perek Beis, no?
Yeah, it's not Shulchan Aruch. Oh, but that's the problem. The Ereach, Rabbeinu Tam might not help for Ereach. That's the Geduli Hekdesh Mikdash point out. I mean, Ereach, there's no Kemach in the Welt B'chal, so how taka does that work? So Zok the Chazon Ish, fakir, that's Bemis working with the Trumas Hadeshin, and it's all Mitam Zechiyah, and that's what takes care of all our problems. Now, L'maisa, there might be another Hechrich that Kavanas HaShulchan Aruch, if we assume that there's no Machlokes Machaber Amo, which is the Pashtus, and that we accept the Trumas Hadeshin, which is brought in Beis Yosef, and we accept the Trumas Hadeshin Halacha, could be there's another hechach from Neubei that when we bring the din of Rabbeinu Tam of making a minu shlichus for Kemach or making a minu shlichus stamazoi forever, So that din is not based, is Rabbeinu Tam Lav Mitaimei. Why? So this gets back to the Etzem Machloikes, K'tzois, and Shumas Hadeshin. What's the K'tzois' problem with Shumas Hadeshin? K'tzois Tainos that the Shumas Hadeshin is basically saying you can make a Zechiyah Mitam Shlichus. And that Zechiyah, you could make not only, Zechiyah Mitam Shlichus doesn't only, or the Zechiyah, the Zachem Shloi B'fanav doesn't only work to be mezaka something for someone, to be koine something for someone, but also to become their shliach, to take something away, to be mafresh challah from their is. So the K'tzai says that he has a rashba in the Darim and Daf Lamed Vav. It's mavur not like that, because what does the rashba in the Darim say? The rashba is machalik between the din of a person being mafresh challah from someone's isa shalom midaitoi. Stam, I go to your isa and I'm attacking your isa shalom midaitoi, or Mishaloi al shal chaveira, or taking off from your isa to attacking your friend's isa. And the Rashba is machalik. The Rashba says to take off on your friend's isa shaloi midaitoi, which is l'chor, you're helping him out. You've been attacking his isa. That you can't do. La halacha, you can't do that. Zok the Rashba, on that you don't have a kiyum of shlichus for truma, and you can't be mafresh on your friend's truma. Mashenki, to take off your own, from your own isa, your own tevel, to mitakin your friend's tevel, says the Rashba, so the way the K'tzais understands this Rashba, is that there's a new yisoid in Zechiyah. Zechiyah is only when you're giving someone something, like when you take off your own challah to be mitakin your friend's isa, so that's mamish a Zechiyah, you're mamish giving him a free challah. You're being mitakin his isa without him losing any of his challah. Masha'in Kain, when you want to go be metakin his isa, even though it's a very nice thing you're doing to metakin someone's isa, but that's to take something away. Even in the Truma Sadeshin's case, where it's being miskalkel and Imamish needs you to do it, but the Maisa, the Zechiyah would only work if the way the Zechiyah would be working is by taking something away from someone. There's no such klal. Zechiyah is up to K'tzais, and it's a pasal Shlichus. That's what the K'tzais understands from this Rashba, and Meilas Chaluk on the Truma Sadeshin. Now, so the K'tzais is Moisef over there, that the Rashba is not like the Trumas Hadeshin. So he says, Moisif, that this Rabbeinu Tam Gufa is not like the Trumas Hadeshin. Tosfos, which is passed in the Shulchan Aruch, is also not like Trumas Hadeshin. Because what was bothering Tosfos? Tosfos has a big problem. How could it be that you're mafresh challah on kemach and kemach? How could it be that you're manash shliach with kemach? It's davar shel olam. So how you be manash? Tosfos starts saying it's a davar shel olam, but it's biyada. And Tosfos says biyada to losh. It's biyada to bring in another isa. Lafi the Chazanish is machlekes and Tosfos Rabbeinu Tam. Says the K'tzais, what's the ganze noise? What is the whole discussion in this Tosfos? We're trying to figure out how to shtel avek a shlichus. Says the K'tzais, we don't need to shtel avek any shlichus. Meaning, hein advarim, like we said, we have one eitzah of Rabbeinu Tam. We have another eitzah of maybe the Sefer HaTruma of being the man of shliach for even the whole year. And then we have the best eitzah of Trumas Hadeshin. So look, the K'tzais, you see Tosfos didn't have that eitzah, because then Tosfos wouldn't have had any kasha, nothing ever would have gotten off the ground, nothing would have. So it's mavur and Tosfos that Tosfos is bothered. How do we get a chalois shlichus with the mina shlichus? So it's mavur not like the Trumas Hadeshin. That's the K'tzais' kasha. So Lamaisa Imkain, that would potentially indicate that if Shulchan Aruch both paskin back to back, we paskin the Trumas Hadeshin. Again, assuming there's no machlokes, and the Ramah is just filling in from the Chaber. So we have a Shulchan Aruch that says the Trumas Hadeshin. The next halach in Shulchan Aruch, and the same sif, is the Rabbeinu Tam. So these two dinim are soiser zeh. Not that the halach lamaisa soiser zeh, but the tam of these two halachas. These are two rishonim that are choylek zeh. Tosfos, who came up with this whole shtickle Torah, that if you gave reshus when it's oide kamach, it's not a davar shel olam because it's biyada. That's not like the Trumas Hadeshin. So how are these two halachas brought back to back in Shulchan Aruch? So it sounds like potentially we would have to say lav mitayvei. I mean, enechanami. Once we have the Trumas Hadeshin, all the Chaber, all Shulchan Aruch is doing is telling you halach l'maisa. Halach l'maisa, we have a Trumas Hadeshin. Once we have a Trumas Hadeshin, Rabbeinu Tam is good. This Sefer HaTruma is good. That you can be the man of the Balabosta, the Ereach man for 10 years time. It's all fine because really it's all based on the Trumas Hadeshin. It's all really based on Zechiyah. So, Lafi the K'tzais Kasha, that would be another hechrich for what the Chazanish is suggesting, Pshat Halacha L'maisa, because the Chazanish has his own problem, because he thinks that Rabbeinu Tam was shlogged up in Tosfos. So even if we learned he was, shlogged up, not shlogged up, L'maisa Mineu Bey, it sounds like, once we accept the Trumas Hadeshin, that's really the yesod of this whole Siv Gimel. That's what L'chayr would have seen. Because once you have the Trumas Hadeshin, l'chayra, the whole discussion, Rabbeinu Tam and Tosfos and Bima Man Shlichus, forget about Shlichus. As soon as the Isa is in front of me, Zach and the Adam, Shalai B'fanav, the Trumas Hadeshin. Why? So that would be l'chayra. Normal. Rabbeinu Tam, who's bothered how to make a shliach, is not in Trumas Hadeshin. Trumas doesn't need any shlichus. He doesn't need a minu shlichus because as soon as you have the isa, it's zachan l'shalom fanav. Fine. So that's what it would sound like l'chayra. Aber be'emes, like we're saying hadoichak before, it's not mashma that we're really just borrowing Rabbeinu Tam's halacha, but not mitaymei, and really it's machmas the Trumas Hadeshin. The pashtus hapoiskim, you read Tur Shulchan Aruch, it sounds like very clearly that divrei hatoisvis, which are lahalacha l'maisa v'lichaylev, and divrei Trumas Hadeshin, which are brought lahalacha, are not a stira zelazeh. And the question is, my high. Why is it not a stira? What was bothering Tosfos? So, in the Magia and the Ketzais and the footnotes on some of the Ketzais, and they already start bringing some of this rate from the Achrayim.
Not a stira, even the Trumas Hadeshin. Meaning the Ramah would agree with the tradition of the Mechaber?
Yeah. Meaning the Ramah, it sounds like from the Poskim that the Trumas Hadeshin, for some reason, would agree with Tosfos, and Tosfos would agree with Trumas Hadeshin. And they're two separate dinim. So, l'chayra it's nicht azoi. L'chayra, the Ketzais has a richtige taina. That, what do you mean? Once you have Zechiyah, so what's the whole shtickle tire, Shlichus and Shlichus? Forget about the whole thing, Zechiyah. Fine. And Taka would be Geshmak, because anyway we're pointing out that this Taka Shvera Halacha, that some place can apply with the Tzarech on this Halacha, being out of the Balabasta. So if you have the Trumas Hadeshin, she takes care of everything very gladly. Mice, if you're chosh for the Ketzais, you're in big trouble. Fine. So Mice design. Ber Yitzchak says like this. So Yitzchak Chanan, in the first simon in his Sefer, Yuj Arichos about the Sugi of Zechiyah and Shlichus, and he says like this. He says, La'olam, it's not a steer. Why not? What does Tosfos say? What does the Trumas Hadeshin say? That there's a yisoid of Zechiyah Mitam Shlichus without any minoi, Shaloi Midas Bailan, you could become a Shliach without being Nisman a Shliach, Mordik a Chiddush, Zechiyah Mitam Shlichus. Fine. Says the Ber Yitzchak, that's only when it happens Mamela. When there's a schus for a person and there's an umdan and an anon tzadi that this is a Gebaldik schus, this is a Vadai schus for him, so we can make you a Shliach even without him before making you a Shliach. But that only works if it's happening Mamela. And you're working with a mahalach of Zechiyah, which is a different parsha. We have a different limud to teach us Zechiyah, even if it's mitam shlichos or not mitam shlichos, but it's a parsha of Zechiyah. Says the Ber Yitzchak, some other achrayim, that once a person goes and he's mamane a shliach, he's being magaladas. I don't want Zechiyah. I don't want to work with this special new parsha of Zechiyah mitam shlichos. I want to be mamane you a shliach, and I want only shlichos. So mamela, it's not a stira. As always like Ber Yitzchak. Meaning, the Trumas Hadeshin is talking with the Baal Basta Stam. She's not a ram. So the Mishar says, comes says, oy vey, what's going to be with the Challah? She doesn't need her shus because minastam there's Zechiyah, so she can be mzaka her and she can take off the Challah. But if in Tosfos' case she was mamane shliach, she came to her friend and said, I'm making you a shliach to be mafresh when this kemach when you make it into isa. So there he was ready to megal das. I don't want shlichus. Okay. So mamela it's not a steer Trumas Hadeshin and Tosfos. I don't want Zechiyah. I want only shlichus. Right? So first of all, the first tzarachin obviously is stam yisvar. It's my high.
So you don't need shlichus. Really, you don't need the shlichus.
It really could have worked if he wouldn't have opened his mouth. But since he was Magala, he wants a derech of shlichus. Then he's already mafki himself in the parsha of Zechiyah.
So you're gonna have a big problem here with the Sheirah.
Yes, and we get back to that shit. So let's just try to understand for a second. So the side would be like. So first of all, it's trying to understand what's the pshat. Where do we get this umdana from? That a person wants shlichus, doesn't want zechiyah. I mean, he wants his isa Rebbeinu Shalom to be metukin. So this isha, like she's taka clearing lumdus, she goes to a friend with the kemach. You're my shliach. Mash'enke in the Baal Basta who's not in town and her stuff is being in chametz, so she's taka nichala to become a shlichus. Stam yisvar, it's a little difficult.
What's the chiddush? Either way it should work. Why do they have the Nasan Rishos?
Exactly. Listen, you're careful. The Ber Yitzchak is saying the reason why Tosfos says I need this special chiddush, and without this chiddush, Trumas Hadeshin will not apply, means when I make you a shliach, it's either shlichus or nothing. No zechiyah. That's the point. And that's why there's two bezunder halachas of the Ber Yitzchak. And if there's no zechiyah, then you're done. Then without the Trumas Hadeshin.
Why no zechiyah? What's
so you're asking very good. This is what the Ber Yitzchak says. Achiezu says like this. What's talking the pshat? Okay. So this is the teretz. This is the lamdish teretz of the Achrayim. Now once I'm a man shliach, there's no zechiyah. Fine. That's question number one. My high. And ubi yoser. Let's be mechazik your question. And that's the Ber Yitzchak himself gets stuck on his yisoid, and he says his yisoid is l'choyer nistar from the Trumas Hadeshin minei ubei, because he's saying the Trumas Hadeshin's whole word is zechiyah memela, but not when you're a man shliach. When you're a man shliach, there's no zechiyah. Zok the Ber Yitzchak l'choyer to mevur in the Trumas Hadeshin minei ubei, not like my yisoid. Why? Because the Trumas Hadeshin it's very short. It just brings one or two rayas. So he starts out. He says like this: what's going to be with my yisoid? There's a gemara in Chulin Daf Yud Beis. What does it say in Chulun Daf Yebei? Someone says to Ruvain, go be mafresh for me Trumas Maisos. Ruvain's a lazy guy, we don't have a chazak, he did a Shlichus. Shimon goes and he's mafresh for him, loy asav loy klum. In fact, the Trumas Deshen on himself. Why? Zechiyah. I mean, my whole Yisrael is like Trumas Deshen is Zechiyah. So the Trumas Deshen is very bothered by this Gemara. Says the Trumas Deshen, I'll explain to you, it's not shveh. Because when I tell you to go be mafresh, you know my derech. Ruvain knows my mahalach. He knows if I take yafus or not so yafus. He knows how much I take, what I take, where I take. So when I make Ruvain a shliach, I only want Ruvain special, not Shimon. And that's why it doesn't work for Shimon. That's the matan in the Trumas Hadeshin. So the Ber Yitzchak, what's the Trumas Hadeshin's whole problem? Lefi ma Yisod, the whole kasha doesn't start. Because again, the Ber Yitzchak is trying to say Yisod. When I say shlichos, I want only shlichos and no zechiyah. So what's the Trumas Hadeshin standing on his head? Why would the Gemara in Daf Yebez and Chulun say that when Shimon goes on his own, it doesn't work? What do you mean? Why it doesn't work? Because you were Magal Das, you want a shliach. You didn't make Shimon a shliach, then it can't work. Says Ber Yitzchak, it's not true. You know what the pshat in the Trumas Hadeshin is? My whole Yisod is like the Ber Yitzchak. That when you mamana someone, you, Ruvain, be my shliach, I want you to be a shliach and you not to do zchiyah, it must be like this. Ruvain, he told, you be my shliach and no zchiyah. Shimon, he didn't say anything to. So Shimon could still do zchiyah. So that's why the Trumas Hadeshin was bothered. Why does Shimon's zchiyah not work? He had to say because Shimon doesn't know how to do it. So there's an that I don't want Shimon because Shimon doesn't know the proper mahalach. So this is kusha al gabe kusha. The same question we're asking on the etzem yisod of the, meaning dai lanu with the tzara we have in etzem yisod of the Ber Yitzchak. What does this isha care if she has a derech from shlichus or derech from zchiyah? Who cares? Elamai will be in kabbalah and kamal. She said shlichus, no zchiyah. It's two parshas in the Torah. Tachlis, you know, advarim jabalev. That's what she said. That's it. But why should the Gilui that she says to Ruvain, so he's saying like this, the Gemara in Chulin is saying like this, and when I say to Ruvain, I want you to be my shliach, it means you, Ruvain, should be my shliach, and you should not do zchiyah. But Shimon can still do zchiyah. And that's why the Trumas Hadeshin, let's say a different reason why Shimon can't do zchiyah. And l'chayr, the whole thing is, einoi muvan klal ve'ikr. If there's such an idea that when a person is begal das, I want a shliach, I want shluch shalom kamaisa for whatever reason, then obviously it's a Gilui copy him, Meshalech, for everyone. Where would we get such an umdana and a hashara that I want Ruvain mahalach from Shlichus? Shimon, I didn't say anything about Shimon, so Mistama Shimon could still do Zchiyah, Mehechatesi. My high. And Memela, what I'm saying is, L'chayra hada kushla duchte, that why, or do we have to say that in a chanam? The Trumas Hadeshin is a steer to Tosfos, which I saw some others from time to say. And the Sif Gimel Shulchan Aruch is really just the Trumas Hadeshin wiping out all the whole Tosfos, and we're just working with Zchiyah. Or is there still makom to say that there is no steer between Trumas Hadeshin and Tosfos? And l'chayra divrei haber Yitzchak are tzarichin to say that because you said you want a shliach, in general you don't want zchiyah. Why would you care about zchiyah? And certainly to start being machalek between telling this one you want shlichus to raya that dafka for this one you want shlichus, but that one can still do zchiyah. The tzarichin was it. So l'chayra it's like this. L'chayra be'emes, there's a makom gadol to say that there's taka no steer between Trumas Hadeshin and Tosfos. And it's like this. Tosfos, the Trumas Hadeshin, says a very clear case of Schim Tam Shlichus. A very unique, clear, and extreme case. Not stam an average person, not like the Gemara above Mitziach of Beis, a guy stam goes into someone's field and starts taking off Trumas Meiser, and the Baal Boss comes back and says, what are you doing? Or he says, Challah Tiafos. Norvos. It's a special halacha. The Pashup shot in the halacha, the first case of Trumas Hadeshin, the stuff was Pashup spoiling. It was a schus gemura, it's a schus gomer, before the stuff should be spoiled. Okay, we have to say this kasha, what about baking it and taking it after? It's fine. But the Maisa, it was a schus gomer. After all, it's being niskalka. V'hu hadin, even if we learn, like the Pashtus, that a Mashar says even it's not miskalka, but it's just the regilus, so that regilus is enough to say it's a schus gomer, because that's my whole mahalech. I mean, the Baal Boss doesn't think about taking off challah b'chal. She knows that her Mashar always takes care of it. She's not going to do it herself. She's going to go eat the challah. She's going to eat tevel. Of course, it's a schus gomer. Mash Enke, it's very clear from the Trumas Hadeshin. He doesn't argue on what's the chayr before Gemara of Mitzvah. That stam a person can't go and take off truma for someone else. And even that's the maskanas Gemara, pshutoy, is that if I go and take off challah for you and you come back home and you say, "Oh, beautiful, kal chitzel yafos," or whatever you say, "I'm very happy that you did," it doesn't work. Because why not? It's a ayis chim tam shlichos because it's not as chus gemur. It's a nichusa. When you come back, you're very happy. It was a nichusa, and we could probably even assume that the average person, especially with Zman Hazeh, what do you care who takes off your challah? If I take it off, you take it off. Maybe you want the mitzvah. Okay, could be. Well, the ma'aseh it's a nichusa, but that nichusa wasn't enough for the Trumas Hadeshin. The Trumas Hadeshin was talking about a schus gomer, the parsha of zechiyah that the Trumas Hadeshin was going with the Shita Rishonim that Zechia Mitam Shlichus is when it's a Schus Gomer Mamish Blishum Pikpa Klal. So I'm just saying a very simple thing. The Trumas Hadeshet, not like Al Derech Beri Yitzchak with Lav Mitaimeh. A very simple thing. When the Isha comes to her friend and she says, here's my kamach, you're going to make challah for me today? Great, thanks. Take challah, and by the way, when you're Lush Isa, take off challah also. So, if it's a proper shlichus, good, then we have shlichus. And that's not what Rabbeinu Tam is trying to accomplish. But if it's not, so the kasha that Charinim is, kasha is, oh, if it's not shlichus, typically you have the Zechiyah Trumas Hadeshen. Who said you have the Zechiyah Trumas Hadeshen? What do you mean? She was Megala Das. So I'm just saying like this. A pasal aminu shlichus is lav dafka a gilui das for the Zechiyah of the Trumas Hadeshen. Dahainu. When she gives her kamach, right now she's saying, yeah, I'd like you to take off for me, presumably. But is that a klar zach? That's like kapasik that's for sure can't change? I wasn't a mani you a shliach. Let's assume the shlichus doesn't work. If there's no minu shlichus and you're not shlichus on kamaisai, so in an hour when you make the isa, why does she tell her that? Maybe because she was going after the shuk. So she said, listen, make my challah for me, take off challah. But maybe in an hour she'll make it back early on time after taking care of what she should take care of. Then would she want her to take off challah herself? Of course she want to do it herself, right? Whole Hilchos Challah is Mali Mizeh, that the Isha was makbid to take off her own challah. They were doing all kinds of shtikim, trickim to make sure that each Isha could take off a challah erev Shabbos, all kinds of fukfik eitzes. So the fact that I give you some kemach, if there's no minu shlichus, so it's not automatically Zechiyah Gemurah. I mean, we're talking about a regular case. I mean, this Isha, when she gave her kemach to her friend in Taisus and Nazir, she could be mafresh herself. She can be mafresh from the shuk betzin. What was the case of Taisus? The normal case, ma'asim b'chol yain. She was going out to the shuk. She was going out to buy chickens for shuk shal tabachim to go buy some chickens. So she needed some challah for dinner. So she gave her friend the kemach. Do it for me. Does she mean she's not being manish shliach? Frek Taisus. So what's left if you're not manish shliach? Zechiyah mechatesi. It's not a schus gomer. Nichusa you have. Mistama nichale. Mistama nichale is not enough for the Trumas Hadeshen. It's not enough. Asked what? She told her, Bein time, I'm giving you the kemach. Bein time, I'm okay with it. Is that a klar zach that in an hour I'm going to have that das also? No.
At least until she tells us otherwise.
No, that's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is like this. If you give her kemach now in the morning, before she goes out to shuk shal tabachim, I think the best that you have a few hours later is you have a nichusa, a starka nichusa. You don't have a schus gemura of the Trumas Hadeshen. The schus gemura of the Trumas Hadeshen is, look, I'm saying we can't learn from the Trumas Hadeshen to this case. That's what I'm saying. It's a chilik. The Trumas Hadeshen's case is either the Isa is being spoiled, or this is my Isha who does my hafresh challah all the time. Mashenkin over here, I told you that mistam, I want you to take it off. Say there, I'll be happy if you do it. But lamaisa, maybe not. Maybe in an hour I'm going to come back. You know what? I made it back. I'd like to do the mitzvah. It's a chuz gadol for me to do it on my own. So the Mela, all I'm saying is like this.
Until I undo that,
exactly. So what I'm saying is that stam is not enough. That stam is not enough for the Trumas Hadeshen. The Trumas Hadeshen is not working with a stam nichusa. The Trumas Hadeshen is working with a vaday schus gomer belishum safek.
What is the game with that?
So what is the game with that? So Kazem Motzasi in Chedush Reb Shimon, in Kedushin Chavches, he's also going in the sugya. And he says like this. He's also coming to be doiche the Trumas Hadeshen. And he's coming to be doiche, the Ketzais, Mamish B'shtei Yadayim, like we see in many Doilei HaAchroin and Mamish, that they were doiche, we call Divrei Ketzais. And the Reb Shimon says that it's very shver, this Ketzais. And he says, Ein levadois klolim chadoshim, that the din of Zechiyah is only le'odam, not me'odam, hechet teisi lo shamanim. And him, along with the Yisrael Chana, Mamish Gedolei HaAchroin from Dor HaAchroin, Kam v'Kamarai is Shlichus is unbelievable in all these chuvas from Ger Katan and from Kinui Leisha they based in a lot of rayas. So Reb Shimon says Mehechates make the sukha. You have a Rashba. Sagt Reb Shimon, you learned the Rashba. The Ketzos learned the Rashba wrong. He made up a big yisoid out of this Rashba. Divrei harashba shutim heim. Sagt Reb Shimon. What's the pashas for Rashba? What the Rashba machalik? Rashba's chiluk was between me taking off challah for your stuff or me going into your thing and taking off challah for your stuff. So Reb Shimon, when I take off challah for your stuff, that's a zechiyah gemura. I'm doing you a zechiyah muchletes gemura. I'm giving you a special present that you're not going to have to take off challah. I'm doing it for you. That's a schus gomer. Va'al zeh, it's mahani zechiyah midin zechiyah ufi the Rashba zechiyah midin shlichus, but the parsha of zechiyah is chal. Mashe'ein kein, when I go into your stuff and I take off your challah, zok there, that's a din of nichusa. That's what the Rashba is being mechalik. What does the Rashba say? The Rashba says when you go into the Yenim's thing and you take off from him and he comes back and says, great, thank you so much for doing that. That's a Gavaldig Nichusa. So Zakter, that's Abai V'Rov. That's Yishlo Midas. That's the din of Nichusa, and that's Machlokes Abai Rova. Is it enough that Ilu Hava Yoda, if he'd know what was going on, he'd be okay with it? Yeah. That Nichusa Zakter, that's what the Rashba is saying. That's the Makar. The Rashba is saying Nichusa is enough. That's the Machlokes L'gabi Yishlo Midas that it shouldn't be Gezel, that you'll be allowed to use someone else's things, but not L'gabi Shafting Shlich that needs to be Daitchem. But like this, not the pshat that it's enough gemina zachem li adam or me adam. It's just not a klor zechiyah gemura. When I'm being marfish for you, the Rashba is saying that's a klor zechiyah. So b'meila we tap into the parsha of Shlichus. Mashenkim, when I'm taking off from your stuff for you, you could do that also. What's the greatest chus for you? Mistabi will be nicha to you. I mean, Hare, look, he came back and he said, oh yeah, shkoyach kal chetzi alfas. But that's not enough. That nichus is not enough. The Trumas Hadeshin, the din of Zechim Mitam Shlichus, the special Yalfus of Ish Echad Lamate, that we're Mechadish, the din of Zechiyah, it has to be Zechiyah Gemura Mamish. So Memela is up there, the Rashba's Pashat. All the Rashba is saying is this is a Zechiyah Gemura, and this is not a Zechiyah Gemura, because Mechteis, if I'm taking off the thing for you, that's a Zechiyah Gemura. So Memela, it's not a new din of Le Adam, Me Adam, it's not a Zechus Gemura, it's a Nichus Ba'alma. Nichus Ba'alma is not enough to tap into the Parsha of Zechim Mitam Shlichus. So I'm just saying, who had in who had tam?
It's not a real shlichus thing where it is Vadai.
It's a chesaron in Zechim Mitam
Where you have the Vadai.
Oh, and if you, so and the next paragraph after Shimon says this word in the Rashi, it says Ulofi zeh divrei Trumas Hadeshin v'Arama him pshutim betachlis. What's the Trumas Hadeshin saying? That I found the Hechatimtza. Again, the Rashba says if I take from my stuff for you, that's chuzkam. But to take off your stuff for you, you'll do it yourself. It's not you want to do the mitzvah. It's not a gvald. It's not a pashtus. It's not a kloras chuz for you. But in the case of misharsis, or the case where it's spoiling, that it's taka kloras chuz, then avada the Rashba would be moided. There's no new din of me'adam, le'adam. All the Rashba was saying is it was just a nichus of alma. There's no chisaron in the fact that you have to give him something and not take something. It was just a chisaron in the etzem umdana. Is this enough to be nichnas and to be poil with the parsha of Zechiyah? It's up there. It's not enough. Mechadesi taking off from. He came back. Nichusa is a ba'iverav, as opposed to chuz gomer is a different parsha. So ba'ifin the nimtza that hein divrei Tosfos. When a lady gives kamach, so zok Tosfos, we better find a way to make this shlichus. Because if I give kemach and it's not shlichus now, 2 hours from now, when it becomes isa, so she goes to be mafresh. Let's see, what are you doing now? Shlichus, you don't have, because there's double shalom. Zechiyah, echetesi. Maybe she changed her mind by now. Maybe now, you have a nichusa, she taka told you to do it. So that's, what I'm saying is this is the chiddush in what I'm saying, because she taka told you to do it. But it's still only a nichusa. Because she could change her mind.
Chazon Ish explain the Ramban. It says Kol HaRoitza is a bad mirui, but it's Zachen, because it's Megal Das. That's how he explains the Ramban. You're just saying, because since here it's Lo Bali Olam, so that even if you're Megal Das...
Right. If it would have been Chal Miyad, meaning if she would have given Isa, then for sure. If someone gives Isa and says, okay, well that's a Mina Shlichus, I don't think there's any special nusach. My point is...
So Chazon Ish says that Kol HaRoitza is not a Mina Shlichus.
And after speaking, it works mitam.
It's Zechiyah.
Right. That's what I'm saying. If it would be chal right now, if the shlichus would be chal right now, then there's no stopping it. Meaning, that the nichusa that she expressed b'shas ma'isa, I don't think that's like a...
I'm saying, because what if it's 1 minute?
Even 1 minute.
No, I'm saying, it'll take her 1 minute to do lush. You're saying, Afal Pikin.
Yeah, Afal Pikin. Because Lamaisa, all she did was Megaladas. And in Lamaisa, I assume she said, not even in a par of a Lashon, she probably gave her the camel and said, I want you to take off Challah. But that's not, that mean, I'm just saying, Mishtamas telling in every case. So all Tais is saying, you can't shpar ois from every minu shlichus, it's a possible shlichus, it's automatically zechiyah, mechatesi. There's a cloud of zechiyah, it has to be zechiyah gemur mamish. And like the Trumas Hadeshin, Alain is mafalpul with this idea that a person wants to do their own mitzvah. So b'intayim she told you that, but if it's not a minu shlichus, that's chal shlichus b'maiseh. So 10 minutes later, even 1 minute later, theoretically, mechatesi. That might not be enough for the Trumas Hadeshin who said it was a zechiyah gemur mamish of kilkul or isa. But often that the Ksoi says no right from the Rashba as well. Now, so there's 2 cases. Kilkul Isa. Mashar says is one of 2 things. Either because I'm totally falazach and I'm always relying on Mashar says, I'm going to eat tevel otherwise. I'm not my Challah. She always does it for me. So then that's the schus. The schus is that someone who's soymechan and gantin 100%.
When I tell you for the next 3 hours, I'm soymech on you.
But that could change. That was just a random case. That's what I'm saying. That's not the trumas. Oh, that's my point. The trumas hadeshin is a special case of a mesharsis, as opposed to here it was meichadeis. I told you to do it. It's pretty clear. I'm not trying to be mezalzel like you. She said maybe you should be. She told her be mafish for me. But since she made a pasal minu shlichus, we're only left with a nichusa, and that's Reb Shimon's point. Nichusa is machlokes by Rova usual midas, but it's just nichusa. Nichusa means a full nichusa, but it's not a schus gomer mamish. Schus gomer mamish means the mitzias has to be not mitzad because I was megala to you at some point where it wasn't chal shlichus. It has to be mitzias of schus gomer. I can't call it schus gomer.
Then anyone can do it for me. If the Masharis is sick that day, once I was megala with the schus gomer, then it's not shlichus. Anyone can do that.
Maybe. If it's going to be a skalka, right? That's what the place can say. If it's mamish, can be a skalka.
No, I'm saying without that. Once you were megala das.
Gabi the regilas could be not. Okay. So Zachinu Ladin, just with Sakim, this whole Indian, is like this: that the Ketzos came along and said that he's chayv gana trum sadesh in the Rambam, and that there's no parsha of Skim Tam Shlichus. So we already saw Ber Yitzchok and Shimon; they're all bringing rayas, Merchavei Hashas Mamish, that this. And like the Chazon Ish says, the Chazon Ish also asks him Gerkaton from Schus from Schia by Gittin, that the Ketzos stop. Ketzos Alein, the Chiddush of the Ketzos, the Chiddush Atzum, which is a Choyer Nister from Kama Gemaras, and then Merfalpol, the Arichas Gedol. Halacha L'maisa, the Chazon Ish was doichet me halacha. Ber Yitzchok says, Lama lon lachlik, ein lanu lachlik, al ha-tchumas hadeshen v'aramosh, v'shoysin v'meimein, m'chol makom, v'chaylik on tchumas hadeshen v'aramosh. And it's Misyashev Pshitos, sagt Ber Yitzchok. That's Reb Shimon was doichet the Ketzos me halacha, the Chazon Ish. So it seems like halacha l'maisa, there's no problem, Chal Be'ikr, being Svenich on the tchumas hadeshen, Yichad Isa. And Akiva says, Ein Ketzos, Kedarko is Mitzayim. Now, the Kedarka and the Gildan Shulchan Aruch at least. Now, what I'm saying Me'idach Gisa though is that it has to be a schus gomer mamish. It has to be mamish a schus gomer, Galisham Safik, Galisham Pikbook. And even if we have a Dr. Shimon and a nichusa, and a starka nichusa, like a real nichusa, you're going to be happy about it when you find out about it. That is not enough to be mafal the parsha of schiyah. The parsha of schiyah is when you're being mazaket something. And it's not a klor zechiyah but mitzias. The fact that there's a nichusa is not enough. L'maisa, that's a hella we noticed yesterday. The Oni Yontif has a huge arichas in the Sugya 30 pages. Siman Kuftes, Kufyur Aleph. He's machavin to the Ketzos. He didn't see the Ketzos, even though it was written 40, 50 years after the Ketzos. He didn't see the Ketzos, and he's machavin to the Tainas of the Ketzos. And Mela, nach all the Tainas, the Oni Yontif says, so what's can be this Ramon, Chumas Hadeshin? And you see, it wasn't Allah al Daitoi even for a second to be chaylik on the Ramon. It wasn't like that wasn't even a possibility over there. So he says, what's going to be? We have to be Miyashib the Ramon Chumas Hadeshin. I mean, it's Allah Chalmais, it's the Ramon. So he says that shiny Masharsis because of Yad Pel Yad Balabayas. So in the Kovitz in the Kovitz Minchas Asher they did various shiurim on this Indian. So the Rav's Mechiach stark that L'Shitasoi the din of Yad Pel Yad Balabayas doesn't apply Mechiyah Gavna. Doesn't apply to din of Shlichus, it's din of Zechiyah. But the Maisa he is masking that a poil's better. Because l'maisa it's not a one-time minu shlichus. It's like an ongoing zika between the poil, between the masker and the soicher, between the mafal and the poil. Since it's an ongoing job, so that's key like an ongoing minu shlichus. And the mela, it's taka better than just the regular din of yad pel kiyad balbayis, which could be has no shaykhis to din of minu shlichus. That's exactly what the Onigant is saying. Saying it is. That's Mishar says Mamish, and he's like there. That's the pshat Mishar says. Mishar says works because it's a better than of Yad Pel Kabais. So what you're saying is that even if you don't accept the lumdus Yad Pel Kabais, you do have the lumdus of this zika that goes that's a continuing mina. So the Maisa, this Yisoid is a chayra not mufurish in the going because this last halacha that we mentioned in Shin Chaf Ches. That you could, the Ireach, be Mamana, the Balabasta, for the whole year. And say, you take off for me the whole year. We pointed out, I'm never bothered, what's going to be? I mean, these things like Olam, and there's nothing going on. So he said, it's Micha with Chumas Hadeshin, but it sounds like there's a Minu Shlichus going on over here. So how can you make such a Minu Shlichus? So the Goin, he says a Pshat. And the din of Ireach, Sivkat Yud, the Goin says, Vinirali, Da'ato, Stomon Kiperushon, the Kamosh Kasu B'Tesefta. So like the Goin, Where's the meaning Shlichus? You don't even have Rabbeinu Tam. And the Goyin is bothered. It's not mashma here that we're using the Chumas Hadeshin, even though the halacha it could be we could use the Chumas Hadeshin. And again, Lafid Varenu it could be you can't use Chumas Hadeshin because maybe it's only Nechusa. Tachla Zok the Goyin. Here it's better. Here stomach Perushin, which means since it sounds like since the derech of an Ireach by a Balabasta is that she's hired for the whole year. I don't know exactly if she's being paid, not being paid, but Lamaisa, since that's the derech, and he's totally falazach, it sounds like the safe session. Since you rely on her gansin, that works as if it's an ongoing stomach perushin. He wasn't mamana her for that isa that she made on Tuesday, 2 weeks after he arrived. But stomach perushin, it's as if there was an ongoing mino, and he brings up the Tosefta. The Tosefta is talking about the heter of a son to be mafresh his father's Challah shlo rishus, and your wife. What gives your wife rishus to be mafresh Challah? That asking rishus. When did you make her a shliach? So we have to know if she, has Maisi Yadeha, Mezainiseh, if she has Tesefes, whatever, but even in a Hechetimtza, where the Isha doesn't have any bailas over this Challah, the Tesefta says she's allowed to be mafresh without asking about bailas, because stomach Perushan, that's the Goyin Shtal to Zerai. So Huadin, anytime there's an ongoing job, which might be true by Bishar, also certainly by Mashgiach and effective, there's an ongoing job, so that Zika between the Payal and the Mafil, between the Seich and the Maschir, is enough to make it a stomach Perushim. That's how the Goyin is learning this final halacha in Shulchan Aruch. And that would be another reason why, again, you have to know why in Chumas Hadeshin's case, Mishar says, why didn't you use that heter if that heter was a heter? That might be a hara. But B'cholif, in the case where it's an ongoing shlichus, that should work. Okay, and in the
Maybe it's different people.
No, again, that's a question of shliach shliach. Let's assume it's the guf kashrus, it's the kashrus organization that's really the ikar shliach. They're just sending their.
That's the key. So
okay, so the other eitzes that are brought.
You have a problem now. Say the mishkiach was out, and somebody working in the bakery wanted to put it in the oven, and they decided to take it. That would be a problem.
Who's someone in the bakery?
The person who just
right. Then you would lose exactly. Then you would lose this additional yad pel yad balbais. Meaning this lefid only yantif was cholik on the Chumas Hadeshin.
even
Chumas Hadeshin is gomer no problem.
Chumas
Hadeshin is glad, 100% glad. And I think the Chumas Hadeshin halacha l'maisel l'chatchil no
I'm
problem.
saying you would lose the Chumas Hadeshin.
No,
even.
on Chumas Hadeshin.
Because you don't want the ongoing. They don't want
No.
the ongoing
Again,
job.
I'm sorry. Maybe I wasn't clear. That's not the Chumas Hadeshin. Chumas Hadeshin is found the din of Zach and Adam Shloi B'fanov when it's a Klora Zach, B'li Shum Pikbook, and it's in Schus Gemura, Mamish, Pshuto, not just Nichusa, which obviously it is, Tachiyah Gavin in the factory. There's no suffix, everything is Mamish Klora with the dog. So then you have the Chumas Hadeshin. Halacha L'maisa, the Chumas Hadeshin refers Halacha Psuka, and not like the Ketzos. K'mash Kasu G'doi Echayin. Just saying that even the Einig Yontif, who was Mechavin to the Pikbook with the Ketzos, he himself wasn't Chaylik Medina, he was saying on this din of the ongoing Yad Pol Yad Balabais, which in Echrabi, you have to know in some way found we might tackle lose that. So the other L'Rav Chadam also, the place can point out, there's other eitzes based on Merkev Samishna, based on other Achreinim, to make if you make a Minoi B'chsav, so maybe that's another way of being Poyel a Minoi Shlich Sam Dav Shmuel Oilam is Minoi B'chsav, which is a Chiddush in Merkev Samishna, so L'Rav Chadam also you can do that as well. And the other potential eitzes is Shutfis, which is Chayr Shver Zach, because it's Haram and Gemura, that's where the Rav in his tshuva was doicha that eitz of Shutvis.
That's why the cases need to come out to bring Yadov.
To make a shliach. Yeah, you're saying Toys is not like Kev's Mishnah, yeah, klar. It's a Chiddush, whatever. When Kev's Mishnah is a Chiddush, it's a tziruf, to be saimich on that, the Iker would be very shver. The Iker Zach is the Allah Chayk Shumas Deshin. Now, there's one more thing I just want to be Moisam, we must sign with that, and that is, this is another sniff gadol to this whole asik. And that is, what is this whole masamata into Chumas Hadeshin and the Ketzois? Is the din of Zechiyah. So the Rashba says, no. Ketzois Tainas, he has a Rashba that says, no. Zechiyah, if you want it to be Shlichus, has to be das. You can't stand make a Shlichus with just a Zechiyah Ba'am. It needs das mamish. Chumas Hadeshin says, no Zechiyah mitam Shlichus. So this is all assuming, like the pashtus of the Maskanas Gemara in Bav Mitzvah Chav Beis, that the Gemara happens to say when a guy goes and takes Chumas Maisis for you, and the Baal Bas comes back and he has an ichusa, it doesn't work. The Gemara makes a new kimta. Hachmayaskin in the Shavi Yishliach, right? Since he made him a shliach, then, but without the Shavi Yishliach, without the Atem Gamatim, without the Shavi Yishliach, there's nothing to talk about, and that's the whole taina. Is that only when there's no Schus Gomer, maybe when there is a Schus Gomer. Shitas Harambam in that Gemara is a very big pella. And the Kesef Mishnah and the Taz and Shin Lamed Aleph. But Halacha L'maisa, Shitas HaRambam in that Gemara is what's brought in Shulchan Aruch Shin Lamed Aleph, Chumas Maisis, Halacha Lamed Aleph, which is The Rambam does not paskin the Maskanas HaGemara. The Rambam paskins that, yes, be'emes, if it's just nichusa, you go to someone's field, you go to someone's isa, you're mafresh truma for them. Not as chus gomer, not like Truma Sadesha. You just go and you do it. He comes home and he says, oh, shkoidich, kal chitz liyofus. That's against the Gemara and Rav Yishanim. The Rambam says that works. The Gemara says not like that, too bad. So the Kesef Mishnah says we don't pass the Gemara. There's a Taz, a whole long, page-long Taz. Shin Lamanaf Lamanaf. But Lashon Shulchan Aruch, Lashon Rambam, who doesn't pass Atem Gamatem. We're all clarifying how we Yitzizai the din of Das and the din of Das for Shlichus. So we have Machlokes, if it's Chus Gomer, yes, Gomer, Nish Chus Gomer. The Rambam passes, you don't need a Bechal. That's Kipshutai. That's what the Rambam says. So the Goin says on the spot, Shin Lamanaf Lamanaf. Yeah, the Rambam held that even though the Gemara says Shavi Shliach, the next Gemara is a Pircha and it's Nidcha Me'alacha. So the whole huge Taz, a lot of the Achronim don't accept the Rambam, do accept the Rambam, but certainly that's a big sniff. Lefi Zed, there'd be no Pikbuk B'chal. The Ksaisis Tain is not Pshit as the Rambam. Fi the Rambam, it's Klar Azai, and in Nichusa, it works as if, just like someone who goes and it's Tain Shalom Midas, the Rambam passes, it's okay, as long as when he comes back, he has that Nichusa. So that certainly would be another sniff Gadol. But Malcolm, that Be'emes, I don't really think we need another sniff, but it's not Stam, it's a sif in Shulchan Aruch, so it's kedai to know that all these hichitimtzes, when the shliach goes, Elamai, in the case of Shulchan Aruch over here, it only works once the Baal Bayis is Megala his nichusa. So maybe in the bakeries you'd have to wait till someone says nichalei. I don't know if you read that B'chei Gavna. What?
You say they may occur that it's nichalei v'avo.
Right. But okay, Yesh La'ayin was there because maybe that nichus is not enough. Maybe you have to do nichus afterwards. I'm not sure, but either way, l'chayr it's a sniff. Yeah, by Challah there's no nafkamina, and by Challah there's no nafkamina, so l'chayr would be okay. Akopanim l'chayr is another tier. B'makom that be'emes you don't need a tier. K'moshe Kos we call a poiskim. Shalach b'chum sadesh and marhamah, and meila schiyah b'tam shlichus works when it's chuzkam.
What are you saying?